Hey guys, it's nice to be me again. So today's a little interesting because I decided to do a speed build this time around. Pretty self-explanatory, sped up video where I talk about the build ideas, talk about my life, and like give you guys some updates on everything. And it's really, I chose to do this because today is a very interesting wise because I had to cancel my stream that I normally do on my other channel. Again, I'll get into that in a sec, but let's get into the video. So in this video, I built a farmhouse. Now the whole point about this farmhouse and why this video why I chose to do a speed build is because this video is specifically that I want to kind of tell a story with the farmhouse, because something I like to do is I like to tell stories about how a Sim's life is based on clutter. So as I was designing this house, I obviously first wanted to get the shape right, figure out the roof, figure out the color scheme and all that. And it was really hard because I was trying to find the right world to put this home in. And after a lot of consideration, I couldn't find one that was good because I didn't want a giant lot. I wanted a pretty basic lot, pretty simple one, very small. And I thought Henford-on-Bagley would have one in the farmlands, but it didn't have one that I was looking for. But regardless, so how it's designed is basically, I call it the Storm Chaser's Farmhouse. That is what it is on my gallery. The whole point of it is a farmhouse where a bunch of storm chasers live. Now, if you don't know, you probably do know, but if you don't, storm chasing is simply people who go out, hunt down tornadoes, take pictures, record them, collect data, and sometimes even help out the National Weather Service and our people keep others safe. The irony of why I did this is because today here in Michigan, when I'm recording this, we are actually under a level 3 severe weather threat. Now, the Storm Prediction Center puts out these, and a level 3 threat is significant because that officially puts in a slight chance for isolated tornadoes. Now, last time we had this was pretty scary. We had one come close, but it didn't hit us. It did go into Lansing, which is the capital of Michigan, caused a little bit of damage, knocked down trees, caused some roof damage. Regardless, that's what's ironic about the fact of me making this. So the farmhouse itself, with a few changes, is actually based off one from another game. So if you're familiar, there's a game series franchise out there called Nancy Drew. You probably know about the books. She has video games, and one of them is called Trail of the Twister. Obviously my favorite because it's mystery and meteorology, like my two favorite things. So I thought it was a perfect way to base it off. Now it's not an exact replica. Obviously I changed it to be Sims-esque and also made it proper. And my favorite part, I think, was I wanted to use white siding, but I also wanted to make sure that there was some sort of accent, because if I use all white, then nothing's going to appeal. So I decided to mix white with brown, so having those brown accents really adds some extra detail. The floor plan, however, it's always interesting because when I first made the house, it was a big box with a roof on it, and I really didn't like that. I wanted to make sure it was unique in a certain way, so I was able to get that. And I also wanted to make sure there was enough yard space because I want to be able to do stuff in the yard space, which could cause some interesting things. But something that was really interesting was figuring out some of these extra rooms. Like obviously the one room I decided to turn into kind of a hangout room, like a sunroom. But I thought it was the best idea to do for that. And I'm happy the brown worked on the balcony. So right about here is when I get the floor painted, and I will continue this when we get to design rooms. So first up in the living room, again, I want to tell a story with this build. So obviously I made sure I had the basic stuff of a normal living room. I wanted to find like a nice couch that was kind of older. Like I wanted to make it look a little more unique. I couldn't find what I was looking for, but the rug, oh boy, the rug was the hardest to find because the Sims, they don't have very many good rugs that are the proper size I need. So I ended up resizing one, but I wanted to add like a few little details, make it feel like this is a home in the Midwest. So I used a little planter that looked like an alien, because I thought that'd be really cute to have like on the TV stand and right there. Now, when it came to storytelling, some of the things I did for this room, which you will see, is that the coffee table is covered in things like CDs having data, journals, maps, like tablets, things that you would typically see a storm chaser have. I thought that was a great way to do that, and even the chair is overtaken by some data just to be fun and have a little bit of story. And the other fun thing is I like putting the shoes by the door. So I was like, I want to make it look like these shoes have been used. So I found there was muddy paw prints and some puddles. So I thought that'd be a great idea to show like they don't really clean up after themselves. The whole point is like the house is messy because they use it mostly for work. They don't really have a life. It's more like, well, I mean like a family life, or they have a family here. It's just a bunch of people who are interested in weather. So it's kind of fun having that little story. And the plants in the window, I love that boho pack plant. They're from Movie Hangout. They're really good. I really add them to a lot of builds. But when it came to that, it was very interesting, and I was happy with how it turned out. Now for this room's kind of the main study, as I would call it. This is the room where pretty much most of it goes down, like charts, computers, all that. I ended up adding 2 computers total and using some TVs as like an extra monitor. But again, I want to make sure it looked messy, like having all of these like papers and sticky notes and everything, but also having calendars and maps of the area, because that's just what I feel like would be something that would be good to have in this kind of build. And again, there's all the documents. So the other desk, this back side of the room was really hard to figure out. Luckily, when I found the other desk, I thought it'd be perfect for this, but you'll see in a second. I use this as a file cabinet kind of thing, this little nightstand that's like, I think industrial is the way I would describe it. But right here is where I was able to put an extra table and a desk with a laptop, because again, I wanted to make it look like, and again, it looks like it's kind of thrown together because of the fold-out chair, which I thought was perfect. Now, if you go through the study, there's the main bathroom. This is the one that has a shower and all that. It's also, again, a little messy, but it's because it's the more used one. Like, is where they're mostly going to do more work, is mostly, like, you know, there's going to be clothes on the floor, puddles, rugs are not correctly aligned, like things like that. Because I want to make sure, like, to know that they're trying to do their best. Now, however, there is a second bathroom. It's a half bath right across from the living room. This one I made cleaner. I want it to be like, this is the one we take care of in case we have guests over, because that's most likely the bathroom they're going to use. They're not going to use the one that's a lot more messy and a lot more used. And personally, I threw in a little bit of what I'm used to here at home, because in my house, we have this little cabinet above the toilet. So I made sure to use that. Here in the dining room, again, I wanted to have a nice, like, casual dining room, like pretty clean. There is a bit of mess, but it's a little more controlled than the rest of the house. So if you look here, I ended up finding under surfaces this giant like dish thing, which I like these, by the way. I think they're a great addition. And I add some TVs to be like more data systems and like, you know, just to have some random clutter to make it feel like this isn't so much in use. I did have to move the entire thing to use it's the parentheses keys that will allow you to raise and lower stuff. So I was using that to my advantage for making that room. Now this room, I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do with that. I started off with having it be a sunroom, but then I officially decided, what if it was like kind of a hangout room? Like it was kind of thrown together. There's not really anything like awesome in there. It's just kind of like a mess. So some of the things I'm like, I want to have a fan in here. I want to have a heater in here, like so that way they can use it all year. The lights were the hardest to figure out because I wanted to add some fairy lights, but I couldn't find one that I particularly thought would be perfect for the room. This does require a lot of packs though, but I personally have fun in the end. And good news, there was lemonade, there's music. I decided to ultimately add because once I had the chalkboard, I'm like, a dartboard would be perfect in here. If only we had foosball tables and pool tables, that'd make it even better. So for the kitchen, again, I went for a farmhouse-esque kitchen. A lot of it has to do with, like, I feel like this house gives me a lot of college kids vibes. Like, they're not very good at cleaning up, but because I will admit, there are some times where I don't do a great job cleaning, but in the end, it looks good. And I do have this breakfast nook, which I tried to make it so Sims don't autonomously use it. I wanted to make it look like it's kind of just a mess. Like, it's just if you need a quick bite, you would sit at that table. But the other thing is obviously the phone behind them. I thought that'd be a great idea. But over here, right behind the coffee maker, is where I really got creative, like with just some random instant coffee baskets and other things that I would think would personally be found in a home like this. And then obviously something that is a staple of my home is I put medicine above the fridge. We do that all the time here, so that's why I thought that'd be good. And then there's more of those muddy footprints. Like, still gotta clean up. So for this room, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, so I decided that the best option would be to turn it into a bedroom. So it's a pretty simple bedroom, you know, and I put a lantern. So the whole point for the lantern is to be like, if the power goes out during a thunderstorm, the lantern is there, so you can simply use that if your lamp goes out. I thought that'd be a cool idea, like somebody being extra prepared. I thought this would be the person who's kind of like the head of the project. Like, I think like that'd be the person who's the head of the team. Like, they keep their room organized, but the number one thing they are way too focused on is data. So upstairs, the hallway was the hardest part to do because you can't really decorate a small hallway. There's not really much you can do that looks natural. Like, the rest of it looks kind of weird. But I did ultimately add some cobwebs just to make it look a little bit older. Not crazy, just a little bit older. Now, this room you're looking at right now, I ended up changing that later because I actually didn't like the design I originally went with, because it was very hard. A 4x4 bedroom is really hard to figure out because I wanted to include a dresser, but I also wanted to include a nightstand, but the door was in the way. So there was a lot of flip-flopping on things, and it made it a little more difficult to find the right way I wanted to design this. And plus, it felt very empty, but we'll fix that later. But balcony-wise, there is a game table. I did put some wind chimes out there. I wanted it to be kind of like just a hangout area. And then once I got the fuse box, I forgot. As a meteorology, let's say, person who loves it, I knew that we needed a basement. Even though there's no disasters in The Sims, a storm chaser would have a basement. So that's what I built. I built a ladder. There's like a secret area I built right here that looks like it was kind of like last minute added to the house. That is where the basement ladder is. And the whole point is being during a situation, they would take cover in the basement, and I made sure like add some brick walls, add some like concrete floor, basic lighting. Like I wanted it to look like this room. It's really just kind of thrown together. Like there's the fuse box, there's the water boiler, there's a ton of just random stuff, like the stuff that they don't use anymore. And then obviously I'm like, this has to also be comfy. Like it has to also have some vibes to it. So I made sure to add a desk, and I did add the blackmailing like bug system, but I thought that'd be fun, so I wanted to add that anyway. They do have a computer to look to the outside, but I thought they also need a place to like just hang out for if a storm comes. So I did add some beanbag chairs, and ultimately I do add that shelf from Strangerville because it's like a survival shelf. It has a ton of stuff on it that would look like what you would find in an emergency. And then the starter bedroom, obviously same thing. I want to make sure that it felt like lived in. It felt like there was a lot of story to tell, more data. Like, again, I want to make it feel lived in. That's the whole point. I want to make it feel like there are people actively living here. Like they are very active in their career field and they're still doing a great job at it. So here's where I decided how I wanted to do this bedroom. I knew a single bed would be much better for this bedroom because it would provide me with more space to work with. So I was able to like, get the mirror with the shoes. I was able to also squeeze a desk in. I really like this single desk. I wish we could get more in The Sims. These are really cool. And it was able to actually add some pretty good detail. This is probably the most well-kept room in the house, which is kind of funny considering the rest of the house is very messy. So outside-wise, obviously the porch just has some basic chairs, just some really minor stuff, some garden pots. Now, the whole point of this house is not really supposed to be in the city. The whole point is supposed to be kind of in like the American Midwest. So there's not really supposed to be a connection to the sidewalk. And it's very, nature has kind of taken over. So there's like plants everywhere, like mostly wildflowers, nothing that's like well kept. And then there's obviously the dirt. So the reason why I had to go, so the cheat I just used is show live edit objects. That allowed me to get an actual sized car. I thought that'd be perfect for the slot, as it's pretty obvious. They would have a car to be able to go to where they need to go to do this and figure things out. And did you know we recently got new garden pots and planters that came from Outdoor Retreat? We've never had those. And all of a sudden I got an update and these are here now. I'm not complaining because they're good quality, but they look really nice and I was happy to find them. So we're getting to the end of the build here. I'm just adding some last minute plants. And then comes the terrain paint, obviously. So in a second here, once I finish up, we are going to go ahead, go into the game, and I'll show you guys the final product. So here's the final product. I love how it turned out. You can see, like, I made a little bit of a dirt path, as you can see right here, that looks like the car's been using it recently. The fence from Horse Ranch worked really well to make this. The nature is perfect. The porch looks nice. The exterior looks great. It has a lot of storytelling to it, like with the clock and the prints and all that. Even the basement I personally fallen in love with because it's so generic but cool. Like it has all the detail you need to make it perfect for sheltering during bad weather. Then upstairs, obviously, we got the new bedrooms, which also look very nice. I was happy with that. And then we also got this little area. So these are new planters I was talking about. We also got a brand new small one recently, and I've never seen these before. These recently showed up, and I'm all of a sudden think like, what? So it's really cool to see that I've never noticed those before, and they're automatically there. But yeah, this is the house. So thank you guys for watching. It was really fun getting to build this house, and I really enjoyed this build as it really connects to me specifically for the whole weather thing. So please like this video so more people can see it, and subscribe to my channel if you are new. We do all kinds of Sims content here, including builds, let's plays, news and reviews, which I have been doing about the new Enchanted by Nature pack coming up, which I'm still iffy on. If you want other content from me, hit down the description down below. You'll find garrcall, where you can find this build. That's my gallery ID. Or my other channel, Garwolf. It's my main channel where I not only post, but I also stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Bye!